Okay, so get this. There's this ancient Roman cup, right?
Right.
But here's the thing. It changes color.
Changes color.
Yeah, depending on how the light hits it. We're talking jade green in one light, and then bam, deep red in another. And get this, they made this like, what, 1,600 years ago?
That's incredible.
I know, right? So are you ready to dive into the world of Roman glassmaking and uncover the secrets of the Lycurgus Cup?
Absolutely. Let's unravel this mystery together. It's a fascinating journey that reveals just how advanced the Romans were when it came to glass.
Okay, so Rome. I'm picturing gladiators, chariots, maybe some impressive aqueducts, but honestly, intricate glassware isn't the first thing that comes to mind. Can you set the scene for us? How big of a deal even was glass in ancient Rome?
Well, think of it this way. Glass wasn't some rare luxury in ancient Rome. It was everywhere.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We're talking everyday dishes and bottles.
Okay.
But also high-end decorative pieces.
Thanks.
Even, get this, windows.
Wait, windows? Seriously?
Uh-oh.
That's a game changer, right? I mean, talk about brightening up those Roman villas.
Exactly. Glass windows were a sign of wealth and sophistication, allowing for natural light to flood Roman homes and public buildings. But to really grasp their ingenuity, we need to rewind a bit. Before the windows, there was the glass-blowing revolution.
A revolution. Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Okay, so imagine this. Around the 1st century BCE, the Romans mastered glass blowing.
Okay.
Picture a craftsman with a blob of molten glass on the end of a pipe, blowing air into it and shaping it as they go. This wasn't just a new technique.
Yeah.
It was a game changer for mass production and intricate designs.
So it's like the leap from painstakingly hand-building each piece of pottery to using a pottery wheel.
Exactly.
Speed, efficiency, and way more creative potential.
You got it. This revolutionized Roman glassmaking. They could create a wider variety of shapes and sizes than ever before. And they didn't just stop at blowing the glass freely either.
Yeah.
They also used molds.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like using a cookie cutter, but for glass, to create uniform shapes and patterns more efficiently.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those intricate details, like on perfume bottles? Surely they weren't free-blowing those.
You're right. For those smaller, more intricate pieces, they used a technique called core forming. Imagine making a clay model of the inside of the bottle, then carefully shaping hot glass around it. Once the glass cooled, they'd remove the core, leaving behind a perfectly formed hollow vessel.
So they had the shapes down, but what about those vibrant colors? You know, the Roman glass we see in museums often have those incredible blues, greens, purples. How do they get those colors to pop?
They were masters of color, even if they didn't call it chemistry back then. By adding specific metallic oxides to the molten glass, they could create a whole rainbow of hues.
Okay, give us the specifics. What kind of oxides made those iconic colors?
Well, for that classic Roman blue, think cobalt oxide.
Cobalt oxide, okay.
Want vibrant greens, they'd use copper oxide.
Yeah.
And for those deep, rich purples, they'd add manganese oxide. They even discovered how to make a perfectly clear glass by adding decolorizing agents. It's like they were manipulating the very essence of color itself, centuries before modern chemistry.
It's mind-blowing. But all of this, while impressive, seems like something we'd expect from a civilization as advanced as the Romans, right? What really makes Roman glassmaking stand out as truly exceptional.
What's fascinating is that their skill with glass goes beyond artistry and craftsmanship. It hints at a surprising grasp of materials science, even at a microscopic level. And there's no better example of this than the Lycurgus Cup, the very artifact we started with.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. This isn't just any cup, is it?
Not at all. This 4th century cup is an absolute enigma. Depending on how the light hits it, it changes color.
Okay.
We're talking jade green when lit from the front, but a rich, almost glowing red when lit from behind.
Hold on, are you serious? How is that even possible? Did they have some secret Roman magic trick up their togas?
It's even cooler than magic. It's nanotechnology.
Nanotechnology.
Yeah.
You're telling me the Romans were working with nanotechnology back in the 4th century? I mean, that's centuries before microscopes even existed.
It's true. Remember how we talked about those metallic oxides they used for color?
Yeah.
Well, the Lycurgus Cup gets its color-changing effect from something even more mind-blowing, nanoparticles of gold and silver embedded in the glass itself.
Nanoparticles? Okay, now hold on a minute. How is that even possible?
Well, these nanoparticles are incredibly tiny. We're talking about 50 nanometers in diameter.
Okay.
To put that into perspective, that's less than 1,000th the size of a grain of salt.
Wow.
They wouldn't have had the words or the tools to understand it as nanotechnology, but the effect is undeniable.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. But how do these nanoparticles actually make the cup change color? This feels like something out of Star Trek.
It all comes down to how light interacts with those tiny, tiny particles. You see, when light hits the nanoparticles embedded in the glass, it causes the electrons in the metal to vibrate.
Vibrate, so they get all jiggly and, change the color?
Sort of. These vibrations scatter the light, and they scatter different wavelengths or colors depending on the angle of the light.
Sure.
So when you shine a light through the cup, you're seeing different scattering patterns depending on the angle, hence the color change.
So it's not that the glass itself is changing, it's the way the light is behaving around those nanoparticles that creates this incredible illusion of color change.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It's like a tiny ancient light show happening within the glass itself. And here's the thing. We're only now fully understanding and harnessing the power of nanotechnology like this. It makes you wonder, how did the Romans even create the Lycurgus Cup in the first place?
Right. Did they just stumble onto this by pure channeling? Oops. Drop some gold dust in the mix and look at that, a color-changing cup? Or was it intentional?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We still don't have a definitive answer. Some scholars believe that Roman glassmakers may have developed at least a basic understanding of how certain materials, when ground down incredibly finely, could create these effects.
So they might have had some idea of what they were doing, even if they didn't fully grasp the science behind it. Kind of like, well, every time we use this particular type of crucible and add a pinch of this sparkly stuff, something cool happens.
Exactly. It's also been suggested that the specific tools and crucibles they used, or even impurities in the raw materials, could have played a role.
So maybe a combination of intentional experimentation, happy accidents, and a touch of, that's funny, the crucible did what?
Right.
Either way, this cup is a testament to the ingenuity and, let's be honest, a bit of luck of these ancient artisans. But here's what I find even more incredible. You're telling me this ancient Roman cup, this accidental masterpiece of nanotechnology, is actually inspiring cutting-edge scientific research today.
Absolutely. The principles behind the Lycurgus Cup's color-changing properties are being used to develop new technologies, particularly in the field of medical diagnostics.
Okay, now you have to elaborate on this.
Yeah.
How on earth is a 1,600-year-old cup helping to advance modern medicine?
It all comes back to those nanoparticles. Scientists have realized that by manipulating the size, shape, and composition of nanoparticles, they can create materials that interact with light in very specific ways, just like the Lycurgus Cup.
No.
Now imagine taking these nanoparticles and sitting them in a sensor.
Okay.
Depending on what the sensor is designed to detect, say, a specific molecule or a change in the chemical composition of a fluid, the nanoparticles will interact with the light differently, causing a detectable color change.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that the Lycurgus Cup is basically a really, really old prototype for a high-tech medical sensor? That's wild.
In essence, yes. It's a fantastic example of how ancient innovations can still spark new ideas and push the boundaries of modern science. And to think, it all started with someone, centuries ago, noticing that a cup looked different depending on how the light hit it.
It's like those ancient Roman glassmakers accidentally stumbled onto a scientific secret, and now, centuries later, we're finally catching up and realizing its true potential. It makes you wonder what other secrets might be hidden away in museums, just waiting for us to unlock them.
It really highlights how we shouldn't underestimate the ingenuity of past civilizations. They may not have had all the fancy scientific terms and equipment we have today, but they were clearly observing, experimenting, and innovating in their own way.
Absolutely. They were pushing the boundaries of what was possible with the tools and knowledge they had, and look what they achieved. But back to the Lycurgus Cup for a second. What I find so incredible is that it's not just this scientific marvel, it's a beautiful work of art.
You're right. It perfectly embodies that intersection of art and science.
Yeah.
The craftsmanship is exquisite, and the story it tells, the way it changes color, it's captivating. No wonder it's considered a treasure.
It really makes you think, what else might we discover about the past that could revolutionize the present? If a 1,600-year-old cup can inspire cutting-edge medical technology, imagine what else is out there.
Precisely. It's a powerful reminder that innovation can come from the most unexpected places, and that there's always something new to learn from the past. The Lycurgus Cup is a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity and our drive to understand the world around us.
So what does this all mean for us here in the present? What's the biggest takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with?
For me, it's a call to action. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and never underestimate the ingenuity of those who came before us. Who knows what other mysteries are still waiting to be unlocked, perhaps inspired by an ancient artifact gathering dust on a museum shelf.
It's like that saying, the future is now, but in this case, it's the future is hidden in the past. This deep dive has been an incredible journey. From the everyday use of glass in ancient Rome to the mind-blowing science behind the Lycurgus Cup, we've seen that the Romans were far more than just aqueducts and gladiators.
Indeed, they were pioneers in glassmaking, masters of color, and, without even realizing it, nanotechnology trailblazers. Their legacy lives on, not just in museums, but in the very technologies shaping our future.
And on that note, deep divers, we'll leave you with this thought. If the Romans could accomplish so much with so little, imagine what incredible feats we might achieve with the knowledge and technology we have today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.